Okay, so step one is you have to solder your bezel, which this one isn't soldered, but we're gonna pretend it is. Step two is make sure you have a good fit between the bezel and the plate. And a good fit is gonna mean that there's not a lot of light coming through the space in between. And clearly this doesn't, but for example purposes, right? All right, so then once you get that done, now you're ready to set it up. For the bezel to the plate, I like to use the tripod, but you can use any of the systems. Since this is the one we've been working on, we'll go with this. Flux. You can either dip it in or use the paintbrush or whatever, but you want the flux to be kind of a watery consistency. So that's what it looks like new. So see how it's kind of squishy. Yeah. So we want it to be a little watery. So if it's not watery enough, just add water, okay? And then mix it up. And you want a nice thin layer on there. And then I usually just dip the bezel in because that's the easiest. You don't want too much flux, but enough. All right, and then torch tip. For this environment, since the screen is so big, we want to use the bigger tip. I would say that's about 1 inch long right there. And do some preheating. What the preheating is going to do is it's going to allow the water in the flux to evaporate and turn into first a powder, and then it'll get gooey and turn into like a gooey paste. So there, that's probably hot enough. We'll use hard.
Okay, are you looking for lunch?
And then these pieces don't, so cut the pieces to the size that you're working on, like this. I can make pretty big pieces.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Where'd you get this? Is this mine?
So see how big those are? They're pretty big. And the reason, we're gonna hide them in here, so it doesn't really matter if they're big or small. And I probably only need 2 pieces, one for each side, so there's those in there. And you heard when I put it on, it kind of sizzled, and the flux, flow flux, drip a little bit on the solder and wet the solder completely, and then put the flow flux on, okay? Yes. Okay, so now it's time to actually solder. So we're gonna crank this heat up a little bit more. So before it was 1 inch, now it's maybe like 1.25 inches to see if that's hot enough. So nice, even, you can go quick, you can go slow, it doesn't really matter. The idea is that you just wanna get an even heat on the piece. And you can see that the little light blue cone is right underneath the screen. Not like this, not like this, right underneath the screen. And you can see the screen is starting to get warm. So that red means we're starting to get nice and warm. You can also tell that the flux is going really clear and we're getting nice and hot. And here, any minute, those should just go. So if they don't go soon, then that means it's not hot enough. But they went, so we are, and then you watch it go all the way around, which it did. There.